Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Preliminary results show a huge jump in the number of schools rated as failing. Our StateImpact team obtained the data and will join us live to break it down. Construction of I-69 from Crane to Bloomington is nearing completion, and as the route heads northward, more opposition.
I just think that it's going to devastate this great community. It's a farming community. Some of these farms have been in families for years.
Ahead, a closer look at what's on the table and why residents say some of the options aren't even worth considering. This space at Indiana University is like a lab where new teaching strategies are being tested.
You start out with this two-dimensional fabric, and you have to think about how it's going to turn into a three-dimensional garment to fit someone.
Ahead, we explore the new makerspace, those stories, and the latest news headlines from across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Schools across the state got their preliminary A through F accountability grades this week. It will likely be several more weeks before the data is released publicly. But our StateImpact Indiana education team has obtained the data, and the results are dramatic. More than 1/3 of Indiana schools are considered poor performing, according to the preliminary numbers. My colleague Claire McInerney joins us now to explain what this means for schools and how state leaders might intervene to help those schools receiving failing scores. Thanks, Claire, for being here. First off, can you kind of take us through the numbers and explain how they compare to last year's?
Sure, and I'm going to start with last year's numbers. In 2014, 4% of schools had an F and 6% received D. So about 10% of the state schools were considered low performing. Preliminary numbers show that this year 17% of schools will get an F and 19% will get a D. So that's 36% of the schools considered low performing. That's more than 1/3 of our schools in those lowest rankings.
Now, some have been predicting this drop in grades. Others said, no, this probably wouldn't happen. Do you think people are surprised now that the data shows 1/3 of Indiana's schools are in the lowest performing categories?
Sure. So the number is not what we were expecting. No one really had a hard number of what to expect, but we're expecting lower numbers. Anyone who follows education on a nationwide scale saw this coming. In other states that have done the same thing that Indiana did this year, switched to a new assessment, they saw dramatic dips in those scores. And A through F grades are mainly calculated off I-STEP scores. So it shouldn't have been a surprise. State Superintendent Glenda Ritz has been publicly talking about this for a while. We should anticipate lower scores. We should think about what we should do when it happens. When we switched assessments, Governor Pence did publicly say, I have faith that Hoosier students will be able to stay on par. So at that level, it wasn't as big of a concern.
So what happens to those schools now that are receiving a D or F?
Sure. In year one of getting a D or F, you are put on this track where there's a lot of monitoring and reporting, both at the state and federal level. They require principals and teachers to prove that they can, excuse me, get a school to where it needs to be to improve. The state has influence over their resources like finances, their personnel. They have to do tons of reporting to the state and federal government. And if we have 36% of schools doing that, it'll be really hard for the state to keep up with that large amount of monitoring that would have to happen.
Now, some states have adopted new standards, essentially changed the definition of, is it proficient, to avoid putting so many schools. Is there anything Indiana can do? About 30 seconds.
The federal government has said we can not do accountability, but the governor has nixed that. He wants to issue scores. So Glenda Ritz has put forward a option called hold harmless, where we would issue the grades, but if it's lower than last year's, the school would keep the higher grade. But people are not excited about that. So this data, though, might reignite the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you, Joe.
Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brosier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. A federal transportation bill is on its way to the president's desk. The 5-year funding plan cleared the Senate last night. It's the first time in nearly 2 decades Congress has been able to agree on a long-term funding measure. It provides $305 billion for roads and mass transit projects. It does so in part by using money from the Federal Reserve. Critics say that's creating a bad precedent. Over the life of the bill, Indiana will receive more than $5.5 billion. Senator Dan Coates says it will give the state and local governments the stability they need to improve infrastructure. Governor Mike Pence wants the Obama administration to halt an evaluation of the HIP 2.0 program, arguing the contractor is biased against Indiana's healthcare program. The state notes it had already hired an independent evaluator months ago to monitor HIP 2.0. Pence has a problem with the Fed's recently unveiled choice, though. A group called the Urban Institute was selected. He cites an analysis from earlier this year in which the Urban Institute criticized some of HIP 2.0's key components, including its health savings account. The State Department of Health is retested more than 500 at-risk people for HIV in Scott County, and only 3 of those tests came back positive. Health officials talked about the state's response to the HIV outbreak during a panel discussion at Indiana University earlier this week. The state says with few new cases being reported, it's in recovery mode. Health officials are shifting their focus to address the long-term needs of those living with HIV.
We're still trying to get some things in place, especially the addiction treatment services, that we're still lacking there, but it takes a while to get things changed.
The state says 184 people have been diagnosed with HIV since the outbreak started last year. Most of those cases have been traced back to IV drug use. Indiana Senator Joe Donnelly voted to keep federal funding for Planned Parenthood, a different stance than he took on a similar vote in August. The vote was on one of many amendments proposed Thursday as the Senate debated a bill to repeal the Affordable Care Act. The amendment to keep Title X funding for Planned Parenthood failed 48 to 52. In August, Donnelly was one of only 2 Democrats to vote in favor of a Senate measure to strip Planned Parenthood of federal funding. That attempt also failed. The Catholic Church could be helping a family of Syrian refugees relocate to Indianapolis within the next month, despite opposition. After terrorist attacks in Paris last month were linked to Syrian refugees, Governor Pence has suspended state allocations for the Syrian refugee resettlement program until improvements are made to the security and screening process. On Thursday, Governor Pence met with the Archbishop Joseph Tobin and asked that he not resettle the family in Indiana. Governor Pence announced the most aggressive steps yet coming out of his drug task force to help address Indiana's substance abuse crisis. Pence announced the creation of a new state initiative dubbed the Gold Card program earlier this week. The program allows certain physicians to prescribe medication without prior authorization for programs such as Medicaid. The governor also directed the Department of Corrections to adopt a pilot program in Northwest Indiana to provide local officials with more drug treatment options. Indiana's 2015 tax amnesty program surpassed its goal of collecting at least $90 million. The final totals will help ensure key state programs are funded. The program, which allowed Hoosiers who owed back taxes to repay them without penalties, interest, or fines, brought in $100 million in its 2-month period. Delinquent taxpayers have promised an additional $22 million through payment plans that run through June of 2016. The American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana is making an effort to educate Hoosiers about how changing technology affects Hoosiers' privacy. On Wednesday, they hosted a panel discussion featuring Indiana University professors.
The best forms of surveillance, by best I mean most effective or most direct and therefore most privacy intrusive, involve the technologies in which we surround ourselves, not adding something to it, but rather just using what we thoughtfully carry with us all the time. The phone's the perfect example.
The discussion included topics such as email surveillance, body police cameras, and digital hygiene. The panelists agreed that the #1 thing someone can do to protect their privacy is participate in elections. The Environmental Protection Agency says more ethanol must be blended into the nation's gasoline through 2016. Indiana's role as an ethanol-producing giant means the state is paying attention. 2016's 18 billion gallon requirement is about 4% higher than expected. The amount each refinery needs to contribute to the renewable fuel standards is dictated by their market share. A little less than half of Indiana's corn goes directly to the state's 14 ethanol plants. State leaders say they recognize the difficulties presented by changing standardized tests and that they are taking the necessary steps to help make the transition go more smoothly. During their monthly meeting Wednesday, the State Board of Education voted to begin the process of establishing an independent committee to advise on technical aspects of statewide assessments. The group would consist of 4 to 6 members with specific expertise in various technical areas. This comes after months of frustration over the current version of Indiana's statewide I-step test. Bloomington is designating the courthouse square and dozens of surrounding properties as a historic district. The council voted unanimously this week to approve the district, which includes 57 properties. Officials say the plan has been in the works for years.
Our properties are filled, they look beautiful, we've got people on the streets, those businesses are doing business. I think that by taking our time and doing it this way, we were able to show the benefits of it.
The Historic Preservation Commission must still adopt design guidelines for the district, which are slated to be completed early next year. Greencastle Mayor Sue Murray says she feels bittersweet as she wraps up her second and final term as mayor. Murray worked extensively with the city's Stellar Communities grant, funneling $19 million into downtown infrastructure. She also oversaw a major upgrade of the city water distribution system, and more recently, an evaluation of whether the area could sustain its own YMCA center. But after 3 decades of city involvement, Murray says it's time to move on.
It's been a privilege. It's been mostly a pleasure. It's been challenging. I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot. I think the city is in a good place right now. And I can leave knowing that there was no more for me to be able to have taken out of myself and put into the job.
She says she has no plans other than to rest in Florida and spend time with her mother, daughter, and grandchildren. Greencastle voters elected Democrat Bill Dorey as their next mayor. He'll be sworn in January 1st. The Indiana University Marching 100 Band is getting a new $10 million, 30,000 square foot facility. It'll be located across the street from Assembly Hall and Memorial Stadium. The new facility will feature 3 rehearsal spaces, as well as a place for instrument repair, a music library, and storage. Private gifts will fund the project. And for the first time since 2007, IU's football team is going to a bowl game. Indiana finished the season 6-6. Bowl matchups will be finalized Sunday. And Joe, likely destinations for Indiana include Nashville, New York, or Santa Clara.
Someplace warm sounds good.
Yes, that sounds great.
Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Not in my backyard. INDOT is considering which route I-69 will take to connect to Indianapolis, and it might not follow State Road 37. Residents voice their opposition and transportation officials respond coming up. Plus, we all learn in different ways, but finding innovative ways to teach complicated topics is a difficult challenge for a lot of teachers. Ahead, how this space is being used to teach teachers how to think outside the box. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
I can change the world with my own 2 hands, make it a better place with my own 2 hands. I'm gonna make it a brighter place with my own 2 hands. I'm gonna help the human race with my own 2 hands. I can hold you in my own 2 hands, and I can comfort you with my own 2 hands, with my own.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. There's a grand opening celebration next week to mark the completion of I-69 from Crane to Bloomington. The 27-mile stretch was originally slated to open last year. NDOT hasn't said exactly when it will open to motorists, but the ceremony is scheduled for Wednesday. Meanwhile, construction is already underway on the next section of the interstate, which connects Bloomington to Martinsville. The route the road will take from there is still up in the air. NDOT hosted a series of public meetings this week to get input from residents. Barbara Brosier joins us again to pick up that part of the story.
Well, Joe, 5 options are on the table for Section 6. The meetings gave residents a chance to get a closer look at the proposals, and many were upset by what they saw.
When James Baker moved to his rural Mooresville home 3 years ago, he thought he was here for good.
I didn't want to move anymore. I wanted to be out in the country.
With a large pond in his backyard and plenty of room for the dogs to play, his home has become his sanctuary.
It's just peaceful. I love it out here.
But he's worried about the possibility of a new, unwelcome neighbor moving in.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
The Indiana Department of Transportation is considering 5 alternative routes for I-69 Section 6, the final leg of the interstate that, when finished, will connect Evansville to Indianapolis. The routes go through Martinsville and branch off to connect to I-70 or I-465. Mooresville residents are most concerned about routes NDOT has labeled B and D.
The D route would come right through, right through our house. And it would take over just everything. It was just devastating when I found that out.
That route would impact homes and businesses. The Cheetah Preservation Research Center sits in the same neighborhood as Baker's home and provides a safe haven for wild cats who have been abandoned.
We've taken in approximately 25 African servals and bobcats in this time period, within the last 25 years.
It's a labor of love for Bob Turner, who built this facility himself. But now he's worried about the future of his feline haven.
If Route D comes through our facility, we're basically going to be putting these cats to sleep because there's nowhere to relocate them. And we physically can't rebuild a facility in the short time that the DOT requires you to do.
Residents echoed those sentiments during this week's public meeting at Mooresville High School.
If I-69 comes through, it's all gone. And now at retirement age, I'm retired and my husband is near. At retirement age, relocating is just something you don't want to do.
So many people showed up that the presentation had to be moved to the high school gymnasium.
This is probably one of the largest turnouts we've had.
Those who spoke out expressed concerns and urged NDOT to choose the route that would go along existing State Road 37.
I have strong concerns with preliminary routes B, D, K3, and K4 due to the potential negative impact on the Mooresville schools.
But NDOT says it has to look at the whole picture.
There are so many factors that we take into consideration when we're looking at these different routes and which route is the most feasible route. One of those being the human impact. So when we talk about human impacts, we're talking about schools. We're talking about access for emergency services and homes and people getting access to their homes if they're impacted by one of those routes.
NDOT is also weighing the cost and potential environmental impacts of each route. The agency will accept public comments through December 17th, and officials say the feedback they receive will play a large role in the final decision.
Some of the responses that we've been getting so far is people emailing us, calling us, stopping by our project office to either say which route they prefer or if they're looking at an interchange or overpass, kind of giving us some feedback on that as well as access.
Back in this Mooresville neighborhood, signs lining the road point to what residents think is a clear decision. They won't know until NDOT makes a final decision in 2018 whether they'll get to stay or have to go.
Our options right now, I really don't see any options. If they stay on 37 like everyone's hoping, then I think everything will be okay. But if they deviate one way or another, going with another alternate route, it's going to upset a lot of things.
People can submit their comments to INDOT via email, online, or in person at the I-69 Section 6 office in Martinsville. Once the comment period closes, the agency will start sorting through all of that feedback. INDOT plans to make a route recommendation in 2017 with a final decision expected the following year. They're not sure how many homes or businesses could be impacted.
Okay, thank you very much, Barbara. Teaching involves a lot of creativity because kids learn in a variety of ways. Consider reading. We read to kids. They sing the alphabet and they trace letters, all different approaches that help a child learn to read and write. Getting creative with teaching is necessary no matter the subject. And Claire McInerney visited a new space at Indiana University's School of Education that hopes to push teachers into new and creative spaces.
Kids are scattered around the makerspace at the IU School of Education, playing with materials like clay and string and using machines like a 3D printer. These are only a few of the assets in the new makerspace, a room dedicated to helping teachers discover creative ways to teach tough concepts. Kylie Pepler is an associate professor in the school and exclusively studies how making stuff helps kids learn. She convinced the School of Ed to fund the new makerspace and also devoted some grants from the National Science Foundation to get it up and running. Traditionally, makerspaces are used for science and technology innovations, which is why Pepler says this makerspace is rare.
It's really unique. Our faculty here are using making to kind of reinvent what it means for literacy studies, what it means for art education, what it means for every discipline.
In this space, graduate students and faculty members use students to test the techniques they've created. The projects represent many subject areas. For example, Adam Maltese wants to find a group of middle and high school students
to build what we're calling an e-birdhouse, which is essentially a birdhouse, but it's wired with sensors to collect data on birds and their environments.
Students will design and construct the birdhouse, giving them science and technology skills, but Maltese says they'll also learn a lot about biology as they study birds living in the house. In the middle of the makerspace, as she sews a row of sequins onto a piece of fabric, graduate student Sophia Bender explains how teachers can use sewing to help their students learn geometry.
It's all about spatial reasoning. You start out with this two-dimensional fabric, and you have to think about how it's going to turn into a three-dimensional garment to fit someone. How do you take something flat and make it round?
Mentally imagining this transformation is hard for a lot of students when they're just doing math problems out of a textbook. If new teachers get to experiment with alternative techniques, Bender says they'll be better equipped to adapt to students' different learning styles. And when they see a sewing machine sitting in a home ec classroom, they'll be more likely to ask to borrow it to explain something such as spatial reasoning to their geometry class. Across the room, Sean Duncan is fiddling with board game pieces created by the 3D printer. His project aims to push students to be creative and work on a team using board games. Duncan will host a game jam next semester for area kids, where they will come to the makerspace for 24 hours and create a board game from scratch. They will collaborate as a group, come up with a creative concept for the game, and create the physical parts needed to play.
So if a bunch of people come together and they say, we want to make a board game that's about X, Y, and Z, how much do they need to go and find out what X, Y, and Z is by referencing things outside of the room? How do they communicate and negotiate with each other when they try to figure this stuff out? And how do they actually then use the different tools within the space to help them figure out how to make that game?
All of these projects establish a really important principle of making to learn. If you give kids a project they have ownership of, they'll work harder to learn the skills needed to complete it. Like if a student is struggling with geometry, Bender says they might not care if they get a few problems wrong on their homework.
If you calculate something wrong on a project you're making and it turns out not the way you want, you are motivated to try again.
Which is how she says we learn in the real world. When we encounter a problem, we research possible solutions and then try those methods to see what works. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Claire McInerney.
Virtual running is a new twist on traditional racing. You can do it anywhere and on your own schedule. Like a lot of 5Ks and 10Ks, a portion of the entry fee goes to charity. JD Gray reports on how a local nonprofit is using a virtual race to celebrate its 35th anniversary.
Glenda Murray is in training. She's about to do the History Hustle, a 3.5-mile race to benefit the Monroe County History Center. But on race day, Glinda won't pin on her bib and go to a starting line. Instead, she'll decide when she wants to do it, what time, and the path she'll take. Also, she'll be doing it solo, not with the hundreds or thousands of runners who sometimes sign up for major racing events. Participants in the virtual race log their times through a computer or cell phone.
Anyone can do this. So you can walk, you can run, you can walk, run, you can bike. We just want to make it very accessible to people.
After runners complete the race, they do still get a medal. Usually, they arrive in the mail. But if runners really want the satisfaction of having someone hanging around their neck, they can visit the History Center and pick the medal up in person. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm JD Gray.
Proceeds from the race will help the History Center maintain its exhibits. What I like about it is that everybody can get involved.
Absolutely. Whether you're a runner or a walker, you can do whatever you want to complete the race. That's great. And you get a medal.
And it's not all about finishing that finish line. It's about helping a cause.
Yes, exactly.
That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.